the two pieces that were nominated is Lament in the Trampled Garden, which is for string quartet, and the other one is Angels in Flight, which is a string quartet, flute, clarinet, and harp. And these are all part of a recording called Lament in the Trampled Garden that was released last year. Interestingly, even though this is a nomination for Best Classical Piece of the Year, these pieces were written, 20, well, one of them 23 years ago and the other one 18. But I guess they're standing the test of time. I don't know, what would you like me to say further about these pieces?
Well, actually, since you were talking about the test of time, that brings us to something else I wanted to talk to you about, and that is finding one's own voice. And I was reading in your bio about your early musical career as a composer as an expressionist, modernist, and then moving to minimalism, and then to a sort of a post-romantic, postmodern musical language. And I just wondered if you could talk about that. For some people, it takes a while to find their own musical voice.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say. I guess the one has to follow their heart in what they really want to hear, or what they really want to create. And you know, when one studies other people's works, and through the academic circles, that there are certain ways people should write, or certain theories that they should apply, and all this. So there were a lot of shoulds, and it took a little while for me to clear that out and express what I really wanted to express, which happened to be quite tonal. You know, I always resented the fact that I had to throw out all those romantic works and classical works, you know, like that was done before, so now we have to do something totally new. And those kinds of works, especially 19th century, is always something that was very close to my heart, and I just thought, well, why can't I apply some of this? But it also so happened that the whole minimalist school, like Philip Glass and Steve Reich, I should add other people like Gavin Bryars in England, or John Tavener. These are all people that, or Arvo Pärt, they're all people that went back to a simplicity of expression, it's a simplicity of melodic line and harmonic, the use of harmonies. So there's a simplicity and directness, and I think there's also the need to express. That's what's more important than the whole technical aspect. And I think then when one becomes honest to themselves, you find some voice. I don't know, that's very hard to say what it is, that voice. But I must say that the minimalist school did influence me a lot. It kind of made me feel legitimate that I could use melodies and harmonies and simple rhythms.
Yeah. Well, I think, I suspect a lot of composers can relate to what you're saying. I think especially in the time in which you were studying, which I guess would have been the late 60s, early 70s, was a time when there was felt to be a lot of pressure to conform to certain rigorous modernist languages. And so I can understand how it would take a while for someone to emerge from that and then eventually find their own voice. And you were talking about expressing, and I think maybe that's what people respond to in your music. Is tremendously expressive music, and it has its own musical integrity, it's your own voice, and it's wonderful that you are recognized in this way. I was just going to, again, in reading about you, you have an album also, you have other works on an album that's nominated for Album of the Year, is that correct?
You mean in this coming Junos?
Yeah, it was on the Queen's
music CD, which was nominated, and it was produced and performed by Caroline Leonardelli, a harpist from Ottawa. And her independent album that she came out with, half of the repertoire on there is my music. So in that sense, I've been indirectly nominated.
Yeah. Well,
but it's not me. Yet I'm on there.
That's wonderful. And I wonder if you could, just to finish things off, tell us a little bit about the piece we're going to hear tonight, which is Desire at Twilight. And maybe while you're at it, talk a little bit about where you get your titles from.
Sure. The piece you're going to hear tonight, Desire at Twilight, was written in '86 for a duo, a piano and a violin duo from Serbia, which at that time was still Yugoslavia. And it's a piece with long melodic lines and a lot of arpeggiated figurations in the piano. And at one point the violin takes over. But essentially it's sort of an exercise of how long can you keep a melody going. And it goes through 5 different cycles. And I think the title speaks for itself in terms of desire. There is a kind of desire or yearning for something. The other thing is that I had an image, actually, when I wrote it, and it's a bit kitschy, but the image was, there's that old 19th century, there's a 19th century painting, I don't know who did it, but it's well known, and I think actually a perfume company had used it at some point, which is, there's a violinist, a man, and a woman pianist, and you have to imagine it in the 19th century with the long skirt and all of that, and he's kissing her. And I don't know, and that kind of came to mind. So in that sense, there is a kind of earthly desire, but also there's a yearning for desires of unearthly aspects. Where the title comes from is it's sort of something to me that appears towards the end of a piece. I never have a title when I start it. So I look at it as the title is integral to the piece because it's something I felt and came out of the work I did. So, and I should add that this is quite minimalist in the sense there's a lot of repetition in there. Would you like me to say something about the choral piece? Because
absolutely.
I don't know if I'm going to talk about it later.
Yeah, I think this is our one chance, so if you want to send it that would be great.
Yes, and then the choral piece that the audience is going to hear, Aspirations, is really part of 3 songs that I had written for the Ontario Youth Choir back in 2000. So the choir piece that the audience is going to hear is really concerns aspirations of youth, aspirations of teenagers. I wrote the text myself, but essentially just how can I say, well, I wanted to sort of express that as much as youth has aspirations to become somebody, that at the same time they shouldn't lose sight of themselves and who they are and where they are, and to still keep their feet on the ground, so to speak.
Well, that's terrific. Thank you very much, Marjan, and congratulations again on all those nominations.